Hello and welcome everybody to the Tencent LPL Summer. It is week 5, day 1 here, so we're going to kick off with our opening game. Young Glory there on the left versus OMG on the right. My name is Pastry Time. I'm going to be joined by Papa Smithy for this broadcast. Papa, it's been a great few weeks of LPL coverage here. What can we expect coming to this game of week 5?
Incredibly, Young Glory will come into this game pretty confident. I mean, even though they're in a lowly equal 6th position of the LPL, they took down outright second place team Positive Energy in their last game of week 4 there. Now coming up against the 11-1 OMG, a different game for them, a different enemy for sure, but what great preparation to take down the second place team.
Yeah, certainly looking good there towards the end of week 4, and now in a fresh week here in week 5. It'll be very interesting to see what they can come out here. The bans for them have started off with Ari and Yorick, so Yorick once again getting that respect ban over to OMG as Zach goes in for their last ban, and now for OMG their bans. We've got Thresh, we've got the respect ban on the other side there of Shyvana, and Kennon's going to be the last ban in there as well. And I have to say, Papa, now that we've seen a couple of weeks of LPL, I like that both teams are kind of respecting the niche champions here on either side. We've got Yorick banned out against OMG, and they've got Shyvana banned up against YG.
Yeah, I really like the flavor of those bands. They're very tasty and delicious because they're quintessential LPL bands. You won't see Yorick and Shyvana, at least as of this week of competitive League of Legends, banned anywhere else in the world. But taken out here, and just to remind viewers, actually, we won't show ourselves. At least for today's matches, at least for these week 5, day 1 matches, we are still on the 3.9 patch.
Yep, so 3.10 has not come through yet. That probably is good news for our friends OMG, given the way they like to play, but we'll see here. I mean, you have to imagine the teams have been playing, preparing on that new patch, likely getting plenty of games in, and whenever the shift does happen, it doesn't seem to be today, as you said, but once it does, you have to think they've definitely been preparing and altering their playstyle, because we kind of alluded to it in previous broadcasts, but some pretty big changes to the game, it seems like, in that patch. But of course, 3.9 for today, at least here, as Elise is the first pick there for YG, Nunu and Rise the next two there for OMG, and now Vayne, and I saw a Volibear, but I don't think we're going to see him. Looks like Nami might be the pick here.
Yeah, Volibear has just fallen away so much. I mean, in some of our previous casting gigs, we saw so many legendary Volibears in a row. It was almost mind-boggling. It's not something you expect to see, but ever since that small nerf to his Q especially, Volibear has very much returned to just a really niche pick, if anything.
Yeah, it just doesn't see a whole lot of play anymore, unfortunately, but someone who does certainly see a lot of play is that Twitch. I'm amazed that didn't go over to YG, by the way, but for whatever reason, Young Glory didn't want that, so Sona Twitch going to go into the pile there for OMG, and Twitch has really just been a superstar, not even just here in China in the LPL, but everywhere in the world. It seems like that guy's just what everybody wants. In fact, one of the games, I believe, on the last day of week 4, had Twitch just first picked by a team that was on the blue side. They know absolutely what they want to get done there, so interesting to see that go over there, but YG, I guess, favouring Vayne instead.
Yeah, and then on the Korean scene, as you were alluding to in the OGN, first pick, first ban status for that Twitch, is to see him fall through to 4th pick, and especially that complete lane, that complete level 1, level 2 dominating lane of Sona Twitch, which of course scales fantastically well into late game, get through that far is just, it's almost mind-boggling.
Yeah, the last 2 picks there for YG, sorry, we've got Renekton and Lissandra to round things out, which are 2 champions we've seen quite a bit of in the LPL as well, and Zed's actually the last pick here for OMG, so top Zed, curiously enough, is going to go there, and looks like we are going to move into the game now. Sun there just on Twitch moving out of the base. Yeah, a couple of Doran's Blades on either side here, looks like Elise is actually going to start with one from the jungle, curiously enough there for Sis, and other than that, just I think for the most part pretty standard. It's kind of interesting to see Nunu here from OMG. Haven't seen too much of him from that. They tend to favour maybe slightly more aggressive junglers.
I mean, I like it just from the perspective that both Cool and Sun will really appreciate that blood boil. You always kind of look down the teammates because Nunu, his selfish strength is not very high, but of course his team buff strength is really, really high. But I'm very interested to see. I mean, it's the last pick Zed coming out here. They want this Zed versus Lissandra matchup, as far as I can tell. Doesn't feel like Zed should have any kill potential at any point in the game on Lissandra, who has that stasis to begin with at level 6, and then subsequent to that, probably will have the Zonias just for the potential 5 seconds of stasis.
Yeah, I actually misread that slightly. I actually thought Gogoing was their mid player briefly, but no, he's their top lane player. He's going to be on Rise there, and Cool's actually going to be, of course, their mid player. He'll be on Zed, so kind of interesting to see them lane it that way. I almost expected YG, given their lane, to actually just not want a 2v2 against Twitch Sona as well, so I almost feel like OMG may have predicted a lane swap, but no team's actually going to swap around here. Everyone's going to start pretty much where they need to, or where they would normally be starting, in air quotes, because of course things things being standard these days isn't really something we like to throw around, because everybody loves to swap around, and that now has almost become standard. But looks like buffs have been started now as well, and we actually are going to have Zed up against Lissandra, as you said, and I'm a little worried for Nami Vayne down the bottom lane, I have to tell you.
The interesting thing, I guess, here is that OMG had options, right? We've seen teams throw Twitch Sona into the top lane just to get the fast push on, even though heads up they, at least on paper, will crush the Vayne Nami lane. They've gone for the lane swap just so they can get that top turret, start the global gold, and then, you know, have that dragon pressure open. Instead, it's almost always been OMG's modus operandum to actually try and bully those bot lanes. You see, they always force those blitzcrank 2v2s. And in this case, they picked a strong lane, and they're trying to bully out the YG bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost funny to see Big Pongo and Sona, actually, to be honest, given how much Blitzcrank he's been playing. But, you know, a fresh week here for the teams. Looks like everybody's kind of swapping things around here. I mean, as we said, it almost feels like a crime that Dragon wanted to pick Vayne before Twitch there and hand that over to OMG. But that's what we've got here in this one, and we'll see how it all works out. Nothing too crazy happening, just a bit of aggression down the bottom lane for OMG for the most part. Again, trying to zone out this weak lane and doing a decent job here as the CS is finally going to come into tower. I have to say, I do like the top lane matchup here for OMG. I think they're very happy to have Ryze up against that Renekton.
I mean, Renekton does have some kill pressure in early levels, and the red pot actually accentuates that. There is a lot of potential if he gets that Fury bar up to go for the red pot all in. But you're correct. After, at least at a point, if Ryze can actually get healthy, get his core items, and get going, a lot of free harass is going to come out from Ryze, and Renekton will find it very difficult to close the distance.
I think jungle pressure going to be a big thing here. Seen a lot of Doran's Blades out of quite a few junglers. Obviously, Loveland actually going for boot start. Very old school Nunu, it almost feels like here. In fact, he's going to spot at least, kind of running back there. There's the ping down towards the bottom lane. Could have 3v3 here coming out. Looks like at the top lane. So Otto really going to go deep with that red poker, going very, very low. And beautiful all in there from Otto in the top.
Absolutely. I was wondering when we would see that red pop. Sometimes we see people just keep it in their inventories for the whole match, but that time, got a kill. 50 gold net value there. The consumable 350, the first blood 400 gold.
Kind of exactly what you predicted, Papa Smithy. Otto there, very aggressive there, managed to kind of just completely all in go going, and that's a dead Ryze, so things are going to get a little tricky now. Ryze does have enough for his tier of the goddess, so he buys that up, but Renekton's going to go back, probably purchase some handy items for himself here. I imagine we won't see another consumable. He'll probably buy something along the lines of a ward and maybe a Doran's. Never mind, double longsword is the build here for Otto.
There's actually some little factors there that might have influenced Otto's play there. The one thing you would have noticed with the biscuit here, Ryze dipping fairly heavily into the utility tree, probably 21 utility just to open up that early 10% cooldown reduction from masteries. That just means that he enters lane with less than 30 armor and very, very squishy. If he'd gotten more defensive masteries, and again I'm spitballing and speculating a bit here, but not very tanky as Ryze if you take those utility masteries, and with that red pot, just so much kill pressure coming out of Renekton.
Yeah, and the first blood there goes over to Young Glory. Very nice play there from Otto. Big Pomelo actually going to get bubbled up here as well. That could be bad news. At least Cocoon just missing her stone to flash it out, but there's the repel. Sound's actually exhausted here as well, and that's going to be one kill. Can they make it a second? Sound's actually ambushed now as Nunu's coming through. They're going to try and make something happen here in the 2v3. Loveland, they're actually going to slump. It's a great Cocoon. Double bubble there for Love Cryby coming out, and that's Dragon going to turn that one around. Loveland, absolutely nothing he can do, but lucky to get out alive potentially as Nunu blood blows himself out there. At least gets a little low, but is able to back out there, and beautiful, beautiful play there from Young Glory. Great timing from the jungler, just completely took over those 2 kills in bottom.
And for all we call Vayne Nami a weak lane, if they can get this kill advantage and come back to lane with
again, going. Not in a happy place there. Ryze nowhere to run, gets popped by that Q from Renekton, and YG really opening up a nice aggressive lead here.
Yeah, just bad spacing coming out from Ryze here. You know, ranged champion has that 650 range on the Q, at least for this patch, you know, before the nerfs come through. Just not playing the lane correctly and getting punished and bullied by this Renekton.
And down in the bottom lane, as you were kind of alluding to earlier, just great play from Young Glory as well.
And to complete my thought from before, if Vayne Nami can get ahead and get an item advantage and get to 6 for free, I mean, Vayne's lane presence at 6 just really, really goes through the roof. So you have to worry here if you're OMG. I mean, across the map here, both top and bot, lanes that you would expect, at least on paper, for them to be winning, they're losing quite significantly.
Yeah, 4 kills on the board there for YG, nice and early on. In fact, they have a 2,000 gold advantage at 6.5 minutes. That is, I mean, 2,000 is a nice little number, but this early on, that's very significant. That will translate into items. So, Loveland here on Nunu trying to get some pressure going, but it is night and day between those two junglers in terms of ganking pressure. I mean, Nunu's great at being annoying, about stealing camps, controlling objectives on the map, but if you're looking at ganks, Elise's are almost unparalleled in terms of ganking power.
And we haven't seen a lot of Elise pastry time. It's actually been a while since we've seen Elise on the Fields of Justice, but reminding us why, despite some small nerfs coming through across the board, she's still super, super powerful. And I'm worried here for Ryze up top pastry time, because with that Brutalizer, very close to true damage, you'd have to expect.
Going again to the ult from Renekton. Goodbye once more for Ryze. Otto just completely feeding on going now as well. In fact, Sizz now down in the bottom lane here, going to try and get some push going. And Otto's Renekton, it all started with that run red point. He's now up a Brutalizer as well. And that's 3 deaths in lane. No other help at all. Though now the mid lane going to come through as well. Cool, actually. Forced a flasher. A nice use of the ultimate there from Lissandra to knock off that death mark there. And, you know, I've seen it a little bit when Zed was being heavily played. I believe also in the OG. And Kayle was becoming a more popular pick for that reason that, you know, you can kind of get through the death mark that way and shake off the damage. Lissandra, as you already mentioned, Papa, does a very similar job that way of just being like, you know what? No, I don't think your ultimate's going to do anything right now.
And with this situation in top lane, there's no point for any ganking pressure coming out of Loveland here. 3 kills, far too much of an advantage. You just need to kind of ride off that lane and help in other spots, or I guess the converse could happen. You could just 2v1, sorry, the top lane just because of that power, but Renekton pushes down the turret. Ryze has no answer.
Yeah, huge early advantage here for YG. The turret and the first 5 kills all going to them as well. In fact, they're close to 3,000 ahead now in this one. Cool. With the blue buff, going to maybe look to rotate down towards the bottom lane. I mean, I kind of mentioned it before. Nunu feels like a slightly off character choice for OMG just because it doesn't really support the way they like to pick people off here, and it's, you know, it's definitely good at supporting someone like Twitch, so maybe they're going for the hyper carry sort of status. There's Big Pomelo going to get bubbled up in there as well. No condemn there, or no line for a condemn, I should say there. There's just a bit of damage going to come through there out onto Vayne with Venom Cast plus Expunge. Otto looking to maybe even tower dive now as well. Has his almost both his summoners back up. Ignite's ready to go. If I was going, I would be very, very afraid of getting dove.
And every damage trade, as you can see there, every Q, just so much damage, and he might be going in again.
I think Renekton, yeah, he's going to go for it, going there. Now in the ultimate activated as well, he's forced to get himself away, but nothing he can do once more. And Renekton, that ultimate, he's already a pretty good diver when that one goes through. Pressure onto the turret going to come out here as well. Sign now getting slowed up, condemned into Big Pomelo. Try and find in the bubble, but can't quite get there. Sona going to take a little bit of damage up. Final out, but a good crescendo coming through. I don't know if they're going to do it. Lamkraba's going to flash forward aggressively, actually, just to get a bit of extra damage. But San there with the spray and pray activated. Good tidal wave as well. Big Pomelo very, very low there. One auto away from possibly even Nami of getting popped. So forced to use the W there, and a lot of ultimates used there. Down the bottom lane, Deathmark on the top, Repel there. Going to try and get him out of the way. Otto's actually going back in, but the pop comes through. There's the Sandra over the top. Cool's forced to get out of the way. Loveland their ultimate up as well by Frozen Tomb. There's the 1 kill for the Ignite. Now Yancer going to chase through as well. But no follow-up coming through here. The Q going to get exchanged for a snowball there, but Going's in there. Loveland's going to back away, and Lissandra's going to back away there as well. Great roam there for Yancer, and OMG get on the board with 1 kill, Papa Smithy, but Young Glory still with a massive, massive lead already.
It is worth pointing out though, Pastry Time, only a 3k gold lead. They haven't taken anything other than the top turret. I mean, OMG leads the way with objective play, but you have to say that this Ryze, like unfortunately PDD struggled in other Ryzes we've seen in the LPL, he's not having the best of an early game. It's going to be so much delayed for us to see that tanky Ryze that can show up to a fight and do tons of damage and also be very survivable.
Yeah, I mean, still very much down on quite a bit of CS there. I mean, has his tier, that's about the good news there for going in top lane. I mean, he'll collect farm slowly but surely. Renekton looks like he's rotating towards the center of the map now to maybe try for the first dragon here for YG, which would be a decent group. I mean, aggressive summoner spell there as well for Ryze, so he can't even have the option of maybe teleporting to a dragon fight and picking up a good chunk of experience that way. It looks like YG are going to try and force the issue here around dragon, and OMG, I think, given where Ryze is at, even if he was here, I think they're just going to give this one up.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if he had teleport, at least you could understand maybe losing the lane to some degree. Not to a 4-kill advantage, but kind of, okay, he's picked for the team fights, he's picked for the team rather than for his lane, but he's taken Ignite for lane control and lost it just heads up. Pastry Time.
Yeah, I mean, we had 3 kills there for Otto, just plain 1v1 there with a brilliant red pot start. I mean, people almost write off the red pot all limit these days. You know, they changed the price. It was like, this doesn't seem nearly as cost effectively good anymore. But if you execute correctly, if you're in a matchup where you're confident you can actually get something done, and you saw Otto right there, he knew exactly what he needed to do and just went for it. Going almost felt caught off guard there, I think, with that red pot.
It's one of those things where back when red pot was 250 gold, it became a point where you'd start it, you get that nice stack of health pots and ward, and if the enemy didn't start it, you just had such a lead. You know, it was kind of a thing where I have to have it because if they have it, I'll lose the lane. you had to take it for insurance. Now if you pick it up, if you pick up that first blood, you don't get a lot of gold. But in an even matchup like this, where Ryze entered lane, with the greedy stuff, he had the mana crystal, he had the biscuit, suggesting he's gone quite deep into utility. He was never really going to be able to fire heads up, and he might be in trouble again.
Yeah, Otto once again going to go in there, go and get a Rune Prism up, but there's going to be another tower dive. There's the slice. Damage coming through there. Renekton now unstoppable as he picks up his 5th straight kill onto Ryze, and I believe another one. I think that's 5
Probably going to be in trouble
ones.
here, though, Pastry Time.
Yeah, Loveland coming up with the snowball there. Cool going to dive in there as well. The Deathmark going to make things happen. That's likely to Renekton. Hex Drinker maybe makes a bit of a difference. He lives on a sliver for only a little bit, but there's the shutdown for Cool. 500 bonus gold coming out for Zed. And it's finally, it seems like some precious come and go going his way, but that was still a trade there. I mean, I guess Renekton, he is worth 500 gold. That's a big chunk of change there for Cool there in the mid lane, but still looks very, very dominating up there. And I think OMG probably going to have to keep sending people up there. And look what YG are doing. They're counter-pushing the mid lane.
Speaking of big advantages in early player Pastry Time, look at this Beyonce here in the mid lane. He has a Zhonya's at 12 minutes into the game. No other items at all, but that is a huge legendary.
Yeah, there's Frozen Tomb. Loveland's ult's going to whip there as well. The Zhonya's still here. There's the Zhonya's coming through. Sizz there. Nice rotation. Still Sandra's going to pick up the kill on Ryze. There's going to E away now as well. Zed's going to come through to try and pick it up. The double could come out there. Sarnak's getting bubbled up as well. Dragon going to come through here for the damage, but San very, very strong there on that Twitch. Now Love Crowbar, he's got to be a little careful. He's got his oracles. Maybe going to go down here. There's the kill for Dragon though with a big pummelo as he picks off Sona. San a little hesitant to pick the target there. Didn't quite focus him down, and now Twitch actually forced to run away here. Dragon maybe looking for the condemn. I just ambush activating. Cool then maybe going to get jumped on now as well. Lysandra doesn't quite pop herself over, but the damage coming through there as well coming. Cool then looks for the kill and does pick it up there. So Zed with a big amount of gold there from the last 2 kills he's got. Love Cryby actually gets the kill on Zed as the trade, so not too bad there for Young Glory, but OMG, I have to say, did not expect this in our opening game here of week 5, but OMG looked really up against it, which is not something we normally say about probably the most aggressive team in the LPL.
I gotta say, the first game of every week of the LPL seems to be must-see TV. The first week, the week 3 game that we cast, we got to see the Sword of the Occult Rush Pantheon. Week 4's first day, we saw an amazing positive energy game, and so much Shyvana play. That was really the really top point of all the Shyvana craze after Young Glory had innovated that. And today, I mean, we're just seeing an upset in the making.
Absolutely. I mean, it's certainly not over yet, but YG is certainly making a big statement, and they got a good early kill lead. Now they're able to rotate Otto here down towards the bottom, pick up 2 turrets for their trouble after their kill trades coming out as well. I mean, Sizzy could be in trouble. Flash Rune Prism going to come out. Repel though in there as well. I think Cool missed his deathmark. We're not too sure. A good bubble there as well, and there's the flash out for Sizz going to try and escape here. The Dragon now getting jumped on as well. The damage coming through. Force flash out there from Vayne. Still more damage coming in there as well as Love Crybo trying to make it happen. Loveland actually getting caught by a bubble. There's the answer's going to come in. A great E into the Ring of Frost there to snare it up. In fact, I think Lysandra even flashed over the top there. And what looked kind of bad there for YG, some good exit kills coming out there as Tidal Wave tries to catch a couple of people. In fact, just speeding everybody up. Maybe enough here as Otto looks to go in for the dive there. Lysandra as well popped herself forward. But I think the rest of OMG are well and truly out of the way there. Frozen Tomb actually getting hit though in the back there. Sign in quite a bit of trouble. Gonna get jumped in there by Elise. And kill after kill after kill.
Who is this team, Pastry Time? Where has this Young Glory been the whole time? They took down Positive Energy in a one-sided match at the end of last week, and now they're just dominating OMG. And where has this team come from? It seems like overnight they've become a legitimate threat in this 10-cent LPL Summer.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny to say it, but Young Glory right now, playing like OMG. OMG, certainly not playing like OMG in this game.
And that was the same story in the World Elite game. That wasn't... in the Positive Energy, and that wasn't the Positive Energy we've seen for so long, and we attributed that to, hey, Nami was a little bit off the game. They didn't feel like the communication was down well. But maybe we're just not noticing that YG really developing into a mature, smart team.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. A league like the LPL, you definitely get a chance to hone your skills, and Young Glory look just amazing right now in this opening game. I mean, for me, some of the choices here team comp-wise seem a little off. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen OMG play Ryze, Nunu, Twitch, Zed.
Where's the pick potential, I guess, is probably the quick question you could ask. I mean, Sona, of course, has that crescendo. We've seen Ryze try the Flash Rune Prism, but you're right. I mean, OMG are comp famous for the Freight Train, famous for many ways to initiate a team fight. 3 or 4 AoE ults, and the backup is always there if you don't get one with the first one, or teamfight AoEs are still available if you use one of them for a pick. But you're right, more of a balanced comp here. more of a balanced team, and they just seem like they're completely out of their depth, which for a team that's 11-1 is kind of an ominous thing to say.
It is. I mean, if they pick up their second loss here only of the 10th LPL Summer, they'll still be absolutely sitting pretty, but not what anyone expected coming into this week here. YG, as you said, just look like an absolutely, not quite brand new, but almost brand new team here as they're going to try and push out this turret here. I think for me the biggest thing is Lissandra going to pop in. Jansen's going to go very deep there. The Tomb coming out there as well. A good crescendo though from Big Pomelo. The Zonni's in there as well. Now the Tidal Wave follows up. Condemned there on the Big Pomelo. Loveland getting cocooned up as well. He'll get chased down there as he tries to activate his ultimate for a little bit. Janser, I think, finally going to go down as Zest. Sona picks up that kill. But Big Pomelo forced to flash out. Sizz just completely wrecking in the back of the base. Now good cocoon, there as well. And I get the feeling why they, oh my goodness. OMG do get a kill there under auto. Zed able to chase that one away, but a 4-for-2 trade there with a very, very big tower dive. Essentially passed 2 turrets into the base here. I mean, Zed's coming back and he's going to try and defend the Nexus that's getting pushed in now as well. I think we understand why Young Glory wanted to first pick Elise. Sizz looks deadly on this champion.
Absolutely, he's just been incredible, and so much jungle pressure coming out here, and nothing Loveland can do to answer that, because the reality is he's Nunu here. He needs his lanes to be strong, or he just needs to, be able to come in, do a bit of harass with a snowball, and then just kind of go away. And he's more about the objective control and, turning into a late game support. But there isn't going to be a late game at this point.
No, not with the way this game's going, that's for sure. I mean, for me, it almost feels like I get the Twitch pick from OMG because it doesn't quite fit with the way Sun likes to play. That fits their usual playstyle, but it's Twitch. He's pretty good. It definitely makes sense. He's a very strong champion, and you can get picks with him as well with Blade of the Ruin King Ambush. Although Twitch is a far cry off of Blade of the Ruin King, which is a pretty disgusting thing to say as we approach the 19-minute mark. But for me, the biggest thing is the way I've seen Loveland play. From him to go from someone like Jarvan to Nunu just doesn't seem to fit their philosophy at all. I mean, cool here. Maybe going to get caught out now. So Cocoon, Aqua Prison, all the spells come in. He's going to try and get out with Living Shadow, but absolutely no chance there in that one.
Cool falls here, and you have to think at 19 minutes, I don't think I've ever seen a team with a 16 kill advantage on OMG. Look, OMG haven't, been completely dominant in terms of Chinese League of Legends since the Tencent LPL spring. They did lose, of course, in the IEM Shanghai there. They have shown some chinks in their armor, but not to this level, and not against a team like YG, who are just really starting to solidify what their style is and make a name for themselves in this league.
This would be a good way to start it. I mean, we mentioned in the last week that, we're kind of getting over the halfway point here in the LPL. Week 5, really, as we kind of get towards the tail end of, I believe, a 7-week split here. Oh, it's that the kind of the playoff stage. YG, if they were ever going to find a moment to find their feet and really get together as a team, I think week 5 is probably it, and looking very, very strong here in the opening match of day 1. I mean, OMG, maybe they can make something happen. They've got Cool now looking to maybe do some split push. I mean, he's got boots and mobility, he's got his Blade of the Ruin King, he has his Brutalizer. He can try and make something happen. He's basically on super minion duty right now. I mean, Baron, you have to think, is the next objective here for YG, and that's going to push them well and truly over the 10,000 gold threshold.
It's worth noting here in the Tencent LPL that it's a very, very cutthroat system here. Instead of the American system where potentially you can get relegated, from the 3rd or 4th place of the system. If you finish 7th or 8th, you're done. You're out of the tournament. Everyone else survives. So the battle for 6th is very real and just massive here.
The items right now just very different between these two teams. We've got Rabadons with that zone. He's almost finished up here for Janser. Blade of the Ruin King Bang with Twitch still not having finished his own item. That I think an AD carry is behind when he's 40 CS ahead and still hasn't finished the Blade of the Ruin King.
There's no global gold. I mean, they got 1 turret down, no dragons, way, way behind in kills. OMG on defense based your time. Miracles do exist. We are seeing something different.
I mean, Twitch just finishes his block now as I say it, but YG going to move in to take the bottom inhibitor one more time here. OMG, nothing they can really do here. A perfect T-Foe might not be enough. Lissandra going to go in there on the cool. The damage in there as Zed's forced to flash out. A good crescendo into spray and pray coming out, but Dez is not activated. Otto going completely deep there. Just try and pick off whoever he can as Love Crybo picks up yet another kill there. Renekton is going to go down there as Bubble does come in there. Janser again flashes. Flash Ring of Frost there to snare some people up. Cool now running back though with his boots and the home god up there as well. Dragon maybe going to get low here as the Deathmark pops there. Sizz very aggressive trying to look for the kill and doesn't quite get it as Twitch is going to pick up that one. So OMG do manage to defend through this initiation here. Maybe going to pick up another kill here onto Yancer. In fact, Loveland's going to come in for it. San as well with some follow-up damage. Almost able to make it happen as the snowball is going to do it. Nunu going to pick up that one. So a successful trade there for OMG. YG maybe a little too aggressive in their initiation, but still a big gap to close here in terms of items and gold for OMG.
Absolutely, and they can afford to make that one mistake. It's if the next fight goes in a one-sided manner that YG really have a lot to worry about here. But just from the items here, such a massive item advantage. You've been talking about Twitch, but across the board here, I mean, it kind of set the scene when we saw a 12-minute Zhonya's. For such an expensive item to be finished that early, a 3260 gold item at 12 minutes, just obscene.
And you saw as soon as Yancer had it, he put it to good use, just aggressively initiating, and that is something that you've said, Papa, that just makes Lissandra such a great champion from the mid lane, or even from the top lane, which we've seen as well. The ability for an AP champion to initiate and then get themselves out of trouble, either with Zhonya's or with Frozen Tomb, the ultimate, or just both, of course, as we've said. You have, about 5 seconds worth of stasis you can get yourself through. When Lissandra's played right, it looks absolutely amazing here, and we've seen some mixed Lissandra games here in the LPL, but it seems like, especially now, teams are really starting to kind of figure out how to play her properly, and Lissandra's looked fantastic here from Yancer in this game.
Absolutely, and look, she's still a new champion. People experimenting with the correct lane for her, the correct item build. There's still a lot of developing to go on the Lissandra side, but her kit kind of propels her into competitive play just because an AP mid champion, or even just an AP champion who can fully on initiate. She even has 2 initiation options, whether it comes to stunning an enemy or going into stasis herself. CC an initiation from a mid lane or just an AP solo champion. It's not something you'd expect. It's not something that a lot of the AP champions kits provide. They're just super strong.
Yep. And YG here going to siege up this bottom inhibitor once more. It's not going to take too much for them to really make a fight here, but OMG, if there was ever a time, it's the second team fight that they really want to try and defend off here. And this inhibitor, really, it's not just that, super minions are going to be coming in. Baron is probably going to be taken very easily here by YG if they get it here. In fact, Loveland maybe a little too far forward. Going to take a little bit of poke here. I mean, YG don't quite have the massive siege potential, so they're slowly poking it down, but they managed to get it done there. OMG decide they don't really find the angle to get in there and initiate 5v5, and I think intelligent this time, YG slow it down a little. Yancer maybe went in a little too aggressively last time. Absolutely no reason to not force OMG to make a bad decision there, and in the end they just made no decision. They gave up their inhibitor.
It's one of those things where the waves weren't in YG's advantage. You look up the top lane here, minions strongly pushing against YG. The only time you'd aggressively dive there was if there was a chance to finish the game, or if the minions were going to do the job for you. And they just took the smart approach. They zoned, they took the inhibitor for free, they got the objective without having to fight. That's fine.
And they're going to try and do this one here again, sieging up the mid turret. Nunu a little bit out of position there around the side, almost getting just stunned. In fact, Ruthless Predator will come out there, but Otto just going to poke a little bit of damage through the cocoon, just missing there onto Loveland. So YG going to return back to the mid lane here, trying to take out this turret. Now with the super waves down the bottom, the minions will push there, so really all YG have to do is once more just kind of wait this out. They've got double blue buff as well on Lissandra plus Elise, so plenty of poke they can spam up there between Ice Shard, Lissandra's Q, and Volatile Spiderling, the human form E there from Elise. So we'll see what happens here. OMG, again, if they can line up one really good fight, then maybe they can claw this way back into the game, but absolutely the ball is in YG's court now, and all they really have to do is just be patient and close this game.
Yeah, again, I mean, the thought of maybe putting down a member top just to get the slow push going and maybe getting Baron control might be smarter here, just because they're not the best team for sieging turrets. I mean, Vayne has that 550 range, and they have some ranged auto attackers, but they just don't have the ability to siege. It's not a Caitlyn comp, that's for sure. So it is slow and steady, and the minion waves aren't really just snowballing for them.
No, it looks like they are going to back off here, try and push up maybe some of these waves. Maybe not. Cocoon there coming through. Actually, Dragon aggressively final hours. Big Pumlo there with the ultimate tidal wave. They're coming in as well. Zed they're trying to pick him off, but Cool there gets popped as he gets frozen, tombed up there, and looks like a good ult there from Nunu. Going to completely block off that lane. Auto caught onto turret there. Going to get himself picked up as well there. Yonso aggressively will pick up that rise as Elise gets that kill. Now Loveland chasing forward, trying to find a snowball target. Dragon in a good spot there behind the trees. Just pokes that Nunu there, and there's the stun onto Twitch. That's exactly who they want to kill. Zhonya's there as well, just to make sure that Yancer lives, and Nunu not going to be able to defend anything. In fact, has to run back to the Nexus to defend the towers from going in. And YG, they smell blood in the water. They absolutely want to close this game out. The one Nexus turret already got finished up here. Really nothing that Nunu can do, and that is going to be the victory here. You said it before, Papa. I think it's the absolute correct word. Incredible upset from Young Glory in the opening game of Week 5.
It's not just a once-off page time. They're proving that the win against Positive Energy was no fluke. We remarked in that game they looked like they'd outplayed Positive Energy, a team that, you know, had shown with just some amazing team fight mechanics and decision making that even if they didn't have the late game advantage in terms of damage, they just were smart enough with their ability to, you know, close out fights and win games. I mean, YG did so well against them. And then this game against 11-1 OMG, they just beat OMG at their own game. It's just crazy to me.
It is, and YG may earn themselves reputations here in the LPL as the Giant Killers. That's 1 and 2 in the standings picked off now as they pick up yet another win for themselves. They're looking so strong here, and the best thing, that's only the first game here of Week 5 of the Tencent LPL. You can, of course, check out all the other matches that are going on as well. Feel free to head over to youtube.com/lolchampseries for those videos there, and we'll take a quick break here, and we'll have more coverage coming up. Tencent LPL Summer will return.